It's no problem. I think everyone kind of calls me Ava sometimes. My name is Leah. I'm the co-founder of Ava. And we are, at the moment, probably one of the leading and fastest growing women's health companies. Our mission really is to bring women's health to the 21st century. And we believe to do that by empowering women with actionable insights and data-driven insights across all their different life stages around their body and their health. But I would actually like to have one of our users introduce us a little better to you.
Less stress and uncertainty for Sarah was certainly a benefit for me.
My name is Sarah. I live in Chicago, Illinois.
My name is Josh Bach, and Sarah and I have been married just over 2 years now.
So Josh and I, we wanted to focus on our careers, focus on traveling, and we were getting a little bit older and we knew we wanted to have kids, and we decided last August that that was the time we actually wanted to start trying.
It was quite an adventure when you think about the whole process. And obviously, us guys play a very small yet vital role in the entire process. I think when we started talking about having children, there's a lot of unknown and planning for when and how and every aspect of your life, what's going to be affected.
I wanted to give myself the very best chance to get pregnant as quickly as possible. I'm kind of a type A person. I'm a huge planner. And so I wanted to do everything possible to conceive as quickly as possible so that we weren't trying for months and months on end, if possible. Before I got Ava, I learned all about my cycle, and then I learned about all the different things it takes to conceive, from measuring your basal body temperature to peeing on sticks. And when I learned more about Ava, I realized I could use the bracelet and kind of get rid of all of that. So before we started trying, I used Ava for 3 months. So when we started trying, it actually only took 1 month, and we were able to conceive right away.
When I found out Sarah was pregnant, I was asleep.
And I got up, it was 5 o'clock in the morning, did the same routine, took a pregnancy test, looked, and saw 2 lines and was floored.
She woke me up, and I think she said it worked, and it took me a second to even understand what she was talking about. And it's this life-changing moment that you experience and you realize we're going to be parents.
So Annabelle is absolutely amazing. She is 3.5 months old now. She was born on May 7th this year. I couldn't believe that she was finally here.
So I'm personally very excited that we could welcome Annabelle to the family of so many Ava babies all around the world. And I'm also thrilled to announce that by now, around 50 of our users a day announce their pregnancy with Ava. This is a wonderful selection of videos that you can watch right after this one. All right. So what really is Ava? As you can see from the video, and Sarah explained that really well, the most visible part of our technology really is the sensor bracelet. It's a sensor bracelet that Sarah can wear during the night. It tracks multiple different physiological parameters, such as breathing rate, heart rate, and others. And we use those parameters to make sense of the underlying hormonal changes during Sarah's cycle. And we do that with the core of our technology, which really is our big data set and our algorithms. So we analyze her data every day through our data set and get to a conclusion for her. Ava by now sits on one of the largest data sets of clinical data referenced with hormonal references around menstrual cycles. And all of that is then conveniently communicated to Sarah on her phone. So she basically wakes up in the morning, she syncs her phone, and she finds out exactly and in real time where she is in her menstrual cycle, when she can expect her next fertile days, and when she can expect her period. She also learns other things around her cycle and her health, also during pregnancy. But Ava is an ecosystem. We also provide a lot of educational content, both for Sarah, for Josh, and their healthcare provider. What you see here is actually our one-pager that you can bring to your doctor if you want to talk to him about your cycle. We provide a lot of resources over our content. Ava has actually built one of the fastest growing content platforms right now for education around women's health. and it's scientific education. It's not old wife tale education, which is important to make a difference of. And then we also help Sarah get along and get support. So we have a lot of communities, and we also have fertility coaches that can talk to her if she would like that. So really, what difference do we make for Sarah? The difference is we provide her a new and much more convenient and precise way to track her menstrual cycles, to get in control, and to double her chances to get pregnant each month. So no more temperature taking, no more peeing on sticks, no more guesswork. I talked before about the fact that we want to bring women's health to the 21st century, and this is a topic that is very close to my heart. You do not bring women's health to the 23rd century if you just create another fancy app. You also don't do it with a nice little additional interface, and you don't do it with a different bracelet color. You do it with clinical research, and it's important that we do that. We right now have seen in women's health that it has been historically underfunded, and a lot of clinical trials aren't even conducted with women. We're also now in a time and a place where we actually see from the political climate, especially in the US, that all the research we're doing in women's health is endangered. So some entities, and that includes but isn't really limited to us, should step up and fill that void. We have, with Ava, conducted multiple clinical trials to prove our technology, but we are far from being done. There's so much more that we want to get to in the future. Another topic that is very important for us is education and community. Take a moment and think to yourself when the last time was that you've learned anything about the menstrual cycle. Typically, the last time you've been confronted with that was in sex ed in high school, if you are from a country where that exists. And unfortunately, for most of us, the main thing that we still learn in sex ed in high school is don't have sex. Or it is, if you have sex once, you're going to be pregnant immediately and right after. And the other thing that we learn in high school is that we shouldn't be talking about those women topics in public. So we keep a lot of those things very privately to ourselves. The issue with all that is that at some point now, millions of women out there who have decided that they want to get pregnant together with their partner lack information, they lack real sources for information, they lack confidence, and they lack people to talk to. And that is why it's so important for us that we don't only build a technology and we don't only do data science, but we do the entire ecosystem around it. Because if you want to help couples get pregnant, you need to cover all of those areas and not just one of them. Where are we standing now? We were founded in 2014. We launched in 2016 in the US. We are active in over 30 countries by now. We have offices in Europe, the US, and Asia. And I think most importantly, I have the honor to work with 100 absolutely amazing people who get up every morning to work on women's health issues, which is probably the best thing you can possibly do. And really, I think for us, I said before that we want to provide services to women across all different stages of their reproductive life. It's important to us that at some point we will offer solutions for women who are trying to get pregnant, trying to prevent pregnancy, or pregnant, or in menopause, or anywhere there between. Because all of the stages that I'm mentioning lack adequate solutions for women nowadays. They're all completely underfunded, and they all need to be developed much, much, much further. And we hope that with Ava, we can be part of all of them in the future. Thank you very much. We're going to go over to the panel in, I think, 3 minutes. But if anyone has a question around what we're doing, I would be very happy. Yeah. And I even have someone who can run around with a microphone.
That's my job. Is any questions in the audience? Oh, here we go. Perfect.
How do you cope with the fertility of men when looking at couples trying to conceive?
Sorry, I have a hard time. If we are looking at the fertility of men?
Fertility of men. They're sort of a part of the equation.
Sort of, yeah. They're sort of an equation. Let me give this back to all of you, because I actually think it's a really interesting question. Of all the infertility cases that we're seeing nowadays, how many of them do you think are caused by the male factor? Okay, we're all starting at 0, and I'm going to go up, and you're going to lower your hand when you think we're done. Okay, so everyone hands up? Okay, who thinks it's 10%? And you just keep your hand up, and I'm going to go up. 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%. We have around 7 hands, 8 hands up. I'm going to close it here. It's 50%. 50% of all the infertility cases we see from the male factor. And that is important because we live in a society that usually blames women very quickly for any infertility cases. That being said, no one should blame anyone for fertility cases. It's not something we can control. Towards your question, male fertility is super important. We have a ton to do on the women's side, so we are for a while going to stay on the women's side. But staying on the women's side means that you have to also take care of the men's side, because otherwise you don't do it right. So we will support the male side wherever we can, but we're not going to develop technology at this point for the male side. But really, the reason for that being that we feel there's so much still to do, and I think we're too small to do everything at once. Yeah.
Perfect. That was a great question. I'm happy that I got the answer right. Any other questions in the audience? Oh, perfect.
Hello, I'm
Hi,
Helen.
Han.
What do you think about working with emotions data, with all the data you have? Are you planning to combine it with data on emotions, on heartbeat, and Apple Health?
Yeah. OK, so very different questions. So when we started Ava, we were looking for any factors that could indicate us hormonal changes without actually having to do an ultrasound, right? So we looked at everything. We looked at, and certain papers are out there that say you call your father more often when you're on your period. Then there's a million data points that kind of are related to emotions about menstrual cycles. We haven't found them conclusive. I think eventually they might be conclusive, and I think there's a few really interesting things around how you speak and voice, and I think there's a lot of really interesting things. We haven't found anything, but we will integrate all factors that help us get more and more precise in order to understand hormones without actually pricking someone's finger. Yeah.
Perfect. I think we have time for one more question. Is there any? Oh, OK, super.
Thanks, Ali Murat here.
Hi, Ali.
Actually, I have 2 questions, maybe either ones.
I'll answer them very quickly.
So I didn't get the point of your success rate. So what is the ratio of how many women can really get pregnant of your user base? And the second question is, do you also have content for the afterbirth, let's say, for the successful cases?
Yeah, very good question. So our success rate at the moment is we detect the fertile window with an almost 90% accuracy, so we're at 89% for 5.3 fertile days. That is an accuracy on how accurate do we detect the fertile days. We do not have data on how many people get pregnant within a certain time, and the reason why we don't want to do it is because our study is going to be flawed. We would have to do a really large study, and then you look at, we want to help you get pregnant and have the right time. We don't want to help you get pregnant faster, but there are certain cases that we will not be able to help, right? If you have a condition, we will not be able to help you. And in those cases, it's our highest target to send you over to a specialist as quickly as possible. So we really see, as our vision, we see either you get pregnant naturally as quickly as possible, or we send you to a specialist as quickly as possible. But either or, and that is why we don't conduct a study like that. And then your second question is, do we have content for after? We do. We actually have a pregnancy app as well. So whenever a user of ours gets pregnant, so the 50 women that get pregnant a day, they move on into our pregnancy app, and we have content for them throughout the entire pregnancy.
Thanks.
Thank you.
OK, perfect. Thanks very much, Leah.